Welcome back, guys. Eli here, and on this video I'm going to be reviewing the Matterport Axis, which is Matterport's new piece of hardware that is a motorized mount for your smartphone. A while back, Matterport made it so that you could use your smartphone to create Matterport models, but it was pretty clunky. You had to hold your smartphone and move as it told you to move, and it just wasn't great. And on top of it just not being great quality-wise, it also took a long time to do. And that's exactly why they created the Matterport Axis. There was no way that people were actually going to stand there and use their phone to create models, and the quality wasn't any good, I would imagine, because of the shaking. And so this is their solution to that. And here's the thing, it's really cheap. And so I think it may be a great solution for a lot of people, but now that I've had a chance to test it, I wanna walk you through everything that comes with it and cover a few different things to help you make a decision about whether this is right for your business, or if you should go the more traditional route of getting something like the Theta V, the Theta Z1, or the Matterport Pro 2 camera. So specifically on the Axis itself, there's really two options you can purchase the Axis under. Just the Axis itself, which is $79, and you'll need a tripod to put it on, or for $89, you can get both the Axis and the tripod. Now, I will say, having bought the $89 kit that includes this tripod and having tested it, the tripod is cheap. And that makes sense because it's only $10 more to have it come with the tripod. So I think for 10 bucks, it is a great idea to grab this, but ultimately you may want to put it on something more sturdy, especially if you're using it more commonly. As far as the Axis itself goes, it comes in a case that's actually pretty easy to assemble and disassemble it into. And there are two primary parts. So there's the Axis itself, which comes in two separate parts that you match together and then tighten. And this thing, which I almost missed the first time, which is the remote. So once you have your Axis set up, as I'll show you in a minute, you can actually trigger the camera to start scanning by clicking this button here on this mount. And it comes with a magnet that you can magnet on the side here, or you can remove it from this, go in the other room and hit the button. That way you don't get in the way or bump the camera. Other than that, it comes with a getting started guide and a charger. Now, this guide is actually really easy to understand. And when I first started putting this together, I wasn't looking forward to how to get it all set up, but this guide covers it. It's really simple. And so definitely something that's not gonna take a lot of practice to figure out how to use. Build quality on the Axis itself feels pretty good. Again, I've just tested this, and so I haven't put it into the field and seen use on it over a period of days or over a period of hundreds of scans, but just feeling it in my hand, it feels pretty good quality. And because you're not required to touch it when you're scanning, I think it'll last a while as long as you just don't beat stuff up. That being said, like I said earlier, I cannot say the same thing about the tripod. And last thing on the hardware itself, before we talk about how to use it within the software, is the battery life. That was one thing I was thinking was probably gonna be pretty poor, given that this thing is really cheap and it's really light. So I don't think there's a big battery in there. That being said, I did about 25 scans and only lost 1% battery power. So I think it'll definitely last for at least a few houses, which typically is all you're gonna be scanning in any given day. Now, that being said, none of that is super important. I think it passes all of the tests there. So how does it perform when it comes to actually scanning, setup, and quality of the actual model? So first thing, setup time. Like I said, it was super simple to get it figured out the first time. And once you have it figured out, it would be a 1 minute or less setup process. Super easy, and you're ready to go and start scanning. But here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. Once you have everything connected, there are a couple different scanning options that you have. And so I tested a couple of them to see, number one, how the quality compared, but number two, how long the scanning time was. So you can see the first option here is 3D scan or 360 capture. We went with 3D scan because 360 captures are just for adding additional images on, but the base model itself needs to be a 3D scan. And then we tested the two primary variables, which are LiDAR scan and simple scan. You'll see that LiDAR scan also has one called LiDAR complete scan, and simple scan also has complete scan. What that does is takes a full 360 set of images and then makes you tilt the camera up, and it takes another 360 set, which captures more of the ceiling and floors. That being said, that process took a long time and required moving the camera every single scan, and so that doesn't make any sense from a real estate photographer's perspective. And so I only opted to test both the LiDAR scan and simple scan, not the complete scans, because I think if we had to do the complete scans, this would absolutely not have a use case for a real estate photographer who, by the nature of the business, needs to value efficiency. So I went ahead and scanned my home office here and the attached bathroom with both the LiDAR scan and the simple scan. That way I could give a true comparison quality-wise. But there's one more thing to keep in mind besides quality, which was scan time. The LiDAR scan took significantly longer at 35 seconds per scan location. The simple scan took only 18 seconds, so about half the time. So from that perspective, the simple scan I was obviously hoping would be okay, and the final results show that that's definitely the case. Here's a side-by-side of both the simple scan and the LiDAR scan, and as you can see, I think honestly that the simple scan is better. Now that could be a fluke. It just looks like the shadows are a little darker on the LiDAR scan and just a little bit more noisy. Ultimately, I don't know if that's true or just how it worked out in this case, but in either scenario, the simple scan is definitely good enough unless you need accurate measurements, which is really where LiDAR comes in. So for that reason, I think simple scan absolutely wins both speed and quality. But that being said, let's zoom out a little bit. We were just looking at the Axis with the iPhone 13 Pro Max itself. So how does that setup compare to the existing cameras out there? The Pro 2, the Theta V, and the Theta Z1. So obviously on the cheap end, we have the Theta V. And here's a side-by-side of the Theta V compared to the simple scan on the Matterport Axis with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. You can see here that Theta V is obviously worse. Now it's not the same house, but that house is more well lit than where I was shooting, and it looks worse with the Theta V. So I think the Matterport Axis takes the win here. And here is the simple scan next to the Theta Z1. As you can see here, it's definitely met more of its match. I think the Z1 is obviously higher quality, but it's not that far off, which I think is really interesting given that the Matterport Axis is $79 and uses something you probably already have, whereas the Theta Z1 is $1,000 and you can't really use it for any other purpose. So the chance that you already have one laying around is pretty low. And that being said, if you just compare them side by side, obviously the 13 Pro Max plus the Matterport Axis is more expensive than the Theta Z1. But again, you probably already have an iPhone or some type of smartphone. And so what I'd encourage you to do is test it with your specific smartphone, because that's the thing that I can't tell you. I don't know how much the phone you're using itself impacts the quality of the scan. I'd imagine it to be a lot given that it's using the camera from the phone, and phone cameras really vary in quality. Now, a minute ago, I mentioned speed when it comes to comparing the LiDAR scan versus the simple scan, but those were both on the Matterport Axis, which is a lot slower than a 360 camera like the V or Z1. Those obviously are a lot faster at somewhere around 6 seconds. So about 1/3 of the time of the fastest Matterport Axis scan, 6 seconds versus 18 seconds versus 35 seconds. So it's pretty similar, the Matterport Axis is, to how the Matterport Pro 2 camera works, being that it is not a 360 camera. It simply takes a photo, rotates, takes a photo, rotates, takes a photo. That's obviously going to take more time. And one more issue to point out, being that the Axis uses your iPhone and is not a 360 camera, you get some stitching issues like you can see here. Obviously, it's turning a certain amount of degrees and taking a photo, turning a certain amount of degrees and taking the photo. And so you can see pretty often the stitching lines where these come together, and they don't align in a lot of cases. This is pretty common throughout both of the models with the LiDAR and simple scan, so don't think there's any issue there, but you will notice that in your models. So if quality is really important, you may want to keep that in mind. So let's talk a little bit about why I think Matterport made the Axis. Matterport recently, at least over the last few years, has switched from being a hardware manufacturer to being a software company. Now, obviously, they've always had both hardware and software, but at the beginning, their focus was hardware. And today, it is definitely software. Being that Matterport is now a public company, much more of that information is public, and they embrace that fully, that they are a software company. So it makes a lot of sense to me that they made something that's $79 that would allow people to use something they already have to make Matterport models, because they will then need software, and that's where Matterport wants to make their money going forward. So it makes a whole lot of sense that they did this. Now, that being said, who do I think the Axis specifically is for? Because it's definitely not for everybody. I think number one, Matterport wants to make Matterport software more available to the average DIY person, whether that's a real estate agent or an insurance adjuster or someone who would need to create a model where quality is not that important and where they don't want to spend a lot of money doing it, and definitely don't want to have to hire a professional to come in and shoot a Matterport. That adds a lot of issues, cost, time, scheduling, everything like that. And so I see this being a great solution for someone like that. But I don't think it's a tool that real estate photographers should overlook, especially those who are just beginning. So I have it broken down into a couple different categories. If you value both speed and an affordable price, I think you're going to want to go with the Theta V. That's a good combination of both. It has 6-second scans and it's only a few $100s, not $1,000 like the Z1. If you value quality only and don't really care what the camera costs or how long it takes to scan, you're definitely going to want to go with either the Matterport Pro 2 or the Ricoh Theta Z1. Obviously, the Z1 is going to be faster and cheaper, but the Pro 2 is going to be higher quality. And the third category, if the only thing you care about is price, I think the Matterport Axis is a clear winner, provided that you have a smartphone with a decent camera. When you're first getting started as a real estate photographer, it's pretty common not to do a ton of Matterports, and so I very much understand not wanting to go shell out $400 or $500, $600 or even $1,000 plus for a 360 camera, especially if you don't know if agents in your area are really going to be that fond of Matterport and order it a lot. It's a big investment to put out without seeing the results. So I think where the Matterport Axis fits in my opinion, is for somebody who's just getting started and who doesn't want to spend a lot of money, or for somebody who just doesn't do a lot of Matterport work and again doesn't want to spend money for something that's not going to return back to them. Like I said earlier, the quality, at least using the iPhone 13 Pro, is really pretty good. It's better than the Ricoh Theta V for sure and falls somewhere between the V and the Theta Z1. That being said, I hope this video has given you all the information you need in order to make a decision about which camera or system is right for your business. I do think the Matterport Axis is an awesome tool at an awesome price point, and so if you're just getting started, don't be tempted to spend more money than you need to when you're first getting started. I always tell people that my goal as a real estate photographer is to make money as a real estate photographer, not buy gear as a real estate photographer. And that point is even more important when you're first getting started, and every dollar counts more than it will in the future. So make a good decision, don't be pressured, and I'll see you in the next video.